Okay, Assalamu alaikum. Hope you are well. Can I have a quick sound check? Is everybody with me? Please check the chat very quickly. All right, sorry, yes, Honorable Physicist, thank you. Background picture is not the description. Yeah, that's right. I haven't checked that, but okay. So I'll put in there ta instead of a ta for Taghut. All right, I'll change that later. The thumbnail. Oh, we have a question over here. Hamid. Sorry about that. From Hamid Man. Salam, can you tell me what you think about Surah Al-Hadid, verse 21? It mentions Jannah prepared for those who believe in Allah and His Messenger, but there's no mention of good deeds. Which one is that? Let me check the verse and bring it on. Surah Al-Hadid is what? 57, right? Yeah. Oops. I don't want that anymore. And I can't see the comment properly anymore. Which verse? Verse 21. Can't be verse 21. It doesn't say for those who believe in Allah, it's prepared for the muttaqeen. Okay, if I share let me just share the screen for you there. Share the tab. Verse of the Quran, this one, right? Put that down. Let me get rid of the comments so you guys can see it. So yeah, it's this verse. Sabiqu, race, ila maghfiratin, to forgiveness from your Lord, and Jannah, arduha, its width is the earth and the sky. Okay, كعرض السماوات والأرض وعدت للمتقين. Okay, it's prepared for those people of Taqwa, and that's how it goes throughout the Quran. Okay, the Jannah is for muttaqin. Jannah is for muttaqin. وُزْلِفَتِ الجنة للمتقين غير بعيد, right? And the Jannah was brought close to the muttaqin, not far away. So is the people of Taqwa. عدت للمتقين. عدت للذين آمنوا بالله ورسوله. Alright, sorry, no wait. My reading, I didn't even finish the verse. Prepared for those who have faith in Allah. ذلك فضل الله يؤتيه من يشاء والله ذو الفضل العظيم. Okay, so but it's still the same thing. It's saying sabiqu, race. Okay, race to it. Okay, race to it. It's prepared for الذين آمنوا بالله ورسوله. And it's talking about, if I remember, it's talking about the few verses before where it's talking about those who spend. Okay, so it's talking about الذين آمنوا over here. I'll have to look deeper into this. Okay, but it was always talking about this surah mentions a lot about spending in the cause of Allah. talk. بين لكم الآيات إن كنتم تعلمون. Okay, I'll have to look at this more deeper for you, and because I never really looked at this verse in that kind of way. But it's the same. I mean, if you equate it with the other verse, الذين آمنوا بالله ورسوله, okay, عدت للذين آمنوا بالله عدت للذين آمنوا بالله ورسله, it's equated with الذين اتقوا in another verse. Because another verse is it's prepared for الذين للمتقين, عدت للمتقين. It says عدت للذين آمنوا بالله ورسله. ذلك فضل الله يؤتيه من يشاء والله ذو الفضل العظيم. ما أصاب من مصيبة, and then it's Looks like it's a different thing. All right, we'll have to look at that another time. But let me check let me check the comments again, and then I'll start with my presentation for today because it's a long one. In fact, I don't think I'll be able to finish it. All right, okay. Let me stop this share. Now, a good thing about, the program I've been using to present a lot of these, all of these streams so far. Let me stop sharing that screen. It stopped working from the browser, and they've launched I only found out today they have now a desktop app. So I'll be using that now because the other one actually wasn't working. I was worried about it. Let me see if I can share from here my desktop app. Another window. No. Chrome window. All right, I guess it's going to have to be the entire screen. You can't share a specific app. Okay, so let's share the entire screen. Okay, there we go. Okay, so this is sort of going on from, what is this? All right, this is sort of going on from what we discussed last time about shirk and, the golden calf. Because the concept of Taghut is certainly very linked to shirk. Okay, but it's a very important thing to look at because you'll see from the very first verse I bring up here, which is this verse. It was something that was said by every messenger to his people. وَلَقَدْ بَعَثْنَا فِي كُلِّ أُمَّةٍ رَسُولًا, and we have certainly sent into every nation a messenger, and all of those messengers have said this: أَنْ يَعْبُدُوا اللَّهَ وَاجْتَنِبُوا الطَّاغُوتِ, that you worship or be in ibadah to Allah, to God, and avoid the Taghut, Then the rest of the verse is, of course, relevant, but not for what we want to talk about. We want to discuss about Taghut. What is Taghut? But the rest is فَمِنْهُمْ مَنْ هَدَى اللَّهُ وَمِنْهُمْ مَنْ حَقَّتْ عَلَيْهِ الضَّلَالَةُ. Okay, فَمِنْهُمْ مَنْ هَدَى اللَّهُ وَمِنْهُمْ مَنْ حَقَّتْ عَلَيْهِ الضَّلَالَةُ. Of those were those whom God guided, and of those who, the reality of the dalala came upon them, the misguidance. فَسِيرُوا فِي الْأَرْضِ فَانْظُرُوا كَيْفَ كَانَ عَاقِبَةُ الْمُكَذِّبِينَ. So proceed through the earth and see what was the end of those who were the mukaththibin, those who were deniers. Okay, so what is this? What does it mean, Taghut? أن يعبدوا الله واجتنبوا الطاغوت. So, I mentioned this in my in that long video essay about Qur'anic Islam and inherited Islam. So I talked about the Taghut there because that is very important. It helps us understand what it means, what ibadah means. Okay, so here it's telling us اجتنبوا الطاغوت, stay away from it. Okay, avoid them, avoid the Taghut. It doesn't actually say don't be in ibadah to it. Don't even come close to them. Okay, just stay away from them. اجتنبوا الطاغوت. Okay, but that is put juxtaposed with أن يعبدوا الله واجتنبوا الطاغوت, right? Have been ibadah to Allah and avoid the taghut. Okay, so the taghut stands in opposition to ibadah of God in many ways. Okay, in another verse it's made explicit. We are told to avoid ibadah to the taghut, right? So it says والذين اجتنبوا الطاغوت أن يعبدوها وأنابوا إلى ربهم وأنابوا إلى الله لهم البشرى فبشر عباد. But those who have avoided Taghut, lest they worship it, okay? So it doesn't even say وَالَّذِينَ اجْتَنَبُوا عِبَادَةَ الطَّاغُوتِ, right? Those who stay away from the ibadah of the Taghut. They stay away from the Taghut completely. Why? So that they don't fall into ibadah to the Taghut. So they stay away from it, so they don't fall into ibadah to the Taghut. So that tells you how dangerous the Taghut is. Okay, it's very dangerous. Okay, so you have to stay away from it so as not to fall into ibadah to it. Okay, So you don't fall into ibadat al-Taghut. You have to actually stay away from the Taghut, avoid the Taghut. Okay, and then the verse continues, وَأَنَابُوا إِلَىٰ رَبِّهِمْ, and have, turned to their Lord, turned to Allah, أَنَابُوا إِلَى اللَّهِ, فَلَهُمُ الْبُشْرَى, for them is good tidings, فَبَشِّرْ عِبَادِ. Now actually there's one of the verse before this one, وَلَقَدْ بَعَثْنَا فِي كُلِّ أُمَّةٍ رَسُولًا. I'm not going to go through it now, but if you check it out, look over here, and don't forget, it starts with wa, right? And so look at the verse before it. What does it say? You will see that it's talking about those who are mushrikeen. And let me see if I can let me pull it out now. So the verse before it says, وَقَالَ الَّذِينَ أَشْرَكُوا لَوْ شَاءَ اللَّهُ مَا عَبَدْنَا مِن دُونِهِ مِن شَيْءٍ. And those الذين أشركوا, those who have committed shirk, they say, وقال الذين أشركوا, if God had willed, لو شاء الله ما عبدنا من دونه من شيء, we would not have been ibadah to anything other than Him. Us, نحن ولا آباؤنا, neither us nor our fathers. ولا حرمنا من دونه من شيء, and that's a key one as well. And we would not have made anything haram. We would not have made anything haram. Okay, but who made the things haram? It certainly wasn't the inanimate objects or worshipped, right? So again, you can see from this that we are talking about people here. So it says كذلك فعل الذين من قبلهم فهل على رسل إلا البلاغ المبين. Thus did those before them do. Okay, so is there anything for the messengers except to give the clear speech? And then it says this verse, and we have certainly sent a messenger in every ummah saying, be in ibadah to Allah and stay away from the Taghut. Okay? Be in ibadah to Allah and stay away from the Taghut. But we're going to come back to that in a minute. Okay? So, الَّذِينَ اجْتَنَبُوا الطَّاغُوتَ أَن يَعْبُدُوهَا, those who avoid the Taghut lest they fall into ibadah towards it. Okay? So that tells you it's a very dangerous. So who are they? Okay, the next verse tells us who these people are. So الذين اجتنبوا الطاغوت أن يعبدوها وأنابوا إلى ربهم وأنابوا إلى الله. I don't know why I keep saying ربهم. I think there's another verse like that. وأنابوا إلى الله لهم البشرى فبشر عباد. Okay, so then the next verse actually describes who this is praised. These people are being praised. Those who do this are being praised. How are they doing this? Who are these people? Okay, the next verse tells something about that. The next verse describes what it means to avoid the Taghut lest you fall into ibadah towards it. It says, الَّذِينَ يَسْتَمِعُونَ الْقَوْلَ فَيَتَّبِعُونَ أَحْسَنَ. Okay, those who listen to speech, listen to the word, and follow the best of it. They listen to the word and follow the best of it. Okay, what does that mean? Okay, so they are listening to what is being said. Okay, and they're not following the worst of it, they're following the best of it. What is that telling us about the Taghut? Okay, and it says أولئك الذين هداهم الله, those are the ones whom God has guided, وأولئك هم أولو الألباب, and those are the ones who have discernment, like people of cause, of inner cause, right? People of understanding. It tells us that to avoid the Taghut, it means, well, when you listen to the speech, but don't follow the best of it, you can end up following the Taghut. You can end up being, that's not avoiding the Taghut, right? And you could end up being in ibadah to it. You could end up in ibadah. What does that tell us about the Taghut? It tells us that the Taghut speaks. The Taghut is something which speaks. Okay, whatever it is, they are, okay, the Taghut speak. It tells us that the Taghut speaks, and you might or you will fall into ibadah towards them if when you hear a speech, you do not follow what is best, okay, and what is most beautiful. Okay, let's look at it again, okay, from the previous verse. والذين اجتنبوا الطاغوت أن يعبدوها وأنابوا إلى الله لهم البشرى فبشر عباد. But those who have avoided the Taghut, lest they worship it, lest they fall into ibadah to it, and turn back to Allah, for them is good tidings. So give good tidings to my servants, those who listen to speech and follow the best of it. Those who listen to the speech and follow the best of it. Okay, that's how they are avoiding falling into ibadah to the Taghut. Okay, how they are avoiding the Taghut altogether. They listen to the best, to any speech. They listen to the best of it. So even the Taghut, if they say something which is good, you can take that, you can follow that. Okay, but to avoid the Taghut altogether is what's most appropriate. Okay, so in another verse, some of the Bani Israel are described as Abd al-Taghut, servants of the Taghut. Now, the Bani Israel, after the golden calf, they never worshipped any inanimate graven images, as far as I know. But here's that verse where Taghut is used again. It says, قُلْ هَلْ نَبِّئُكُمْ بِشَرٍ مِّن ذَلِكَ مَثُوبَةٍ عِندَ اللَّهِ. Shall I inform you of what is worse than that as a penalty from Allah? It is those of whom Allah has cursed. مَنْ لَعَنَهُ اللَّهُ وَغَضِبَ عَلَيْهِ وَجَعَلَ مِنْهُمُ الْقِرَدَةَ وَالْخَنَازِيرَ وَعَبَدَ الطَّاغُوتِ. Those whom Allah has cursed and whom he became angry with, and made of them apes and pigs and slaves of Taghut. Now, it doesn't actually mean that they were transformed into apes and pigs. I definitely don't accept that. It's just saying that they've become like many verses in the Quran. They're saying they've become like animals. أُولَٰئِكَ كَالْأَنْعَامِ بَلْ هُمْ أَضَلُّ. They are like cattle, but worse astray. Okay. Here, two things are being mentioned: apes and pigs, because apes, the idea, monkey see, monkey do, right? They became people who just copied without thinking, those kind of things. Yeah, and pigs, of course, are known for the chief quality of pigs. Lustful and eating, and carnal desires, that kind of stuff. Right. So they became like that, and were slaves of Taghut, أولئك شر مكانا وأضل عن سواء السبيل. Those are worse in position and further astray from the sound way. Okay, so here we have Abd al-Taghut. So again, the Taghut, you can do ibada towards the Taghut. You can be in ibada, in servitude towards the Taghut. Okay, in language, going to the idea in language, Taghut comes from Tagha, from the word Tagha, which means to exceed the bounds. Okay, like in the verse about the flood, Noah's flood. Inna lamma taghal ma hamalnakum fil jariya. Indeed, when the water overflowed, we carried you, your ancestors, we carried you in the sailing ship. Okay, so it's in Surah Al-Haqqa. It's a reference to the story of Noah and the flood, right? So what happened? The water rose up. The water rose up and exceeded all the bounds. لما طغى الماء. Okay, and that's what طغى essentially means. Okay, it is a type of tyranny that sort of floods everything. Okay, it leaves you with sort of nothing around you. Okay, it surrounds you. Right, it's a type of tyranny that's sort of like it's oppressive. Okay, it's oppressive in terms of being around you in almost an encompassing way, like a flood. In a flood, where do you have to go in a flood? You have to go to the highest place, because slowly it fills from the bottom up. Okay, like the son of Noah, for example, he wanted to go onto a mountaintop to be protected from the water, right? So the flood rises up and it sort of takes away everything. It leaves you a very little, which is your own space. Very little, which is your own space. So the word, Tughyan in Arabic means oppression, and it also means flood or deluge, like a big flood or big deluge. It's called a Tughyan, right? Because it exceeds the bounds. It's not like a normal flood. It's a big flood. Going like when a river overflows from its banks, we say Tagha. Okay, it overflowed. Okay, it went out from where it was supposed to be. Okay, and one of the greatest examples of a Taghiya, meaning one whose tyranny is really Tughyan, is Fir'aun. Okay, he really did exceed all bounds in his oppression. Okay, and look at how many verses say that about him. You have many verses. اذهب إلى فرعون إنه طغى. Go to Fir'aun. Truly he has طغى. Okay, and there are other verses. They keep on repeating the same thing. إنه طغى, إنه طغى, إنه طغى about Fir'aun. Why doesn't it ever say إنه ظلم? He oppressed. Okay, it's always إنه طغى. Okay, because he was really a طاغية. He sort of like his tyranny surrounded all that was around, like the Bani Israel. It really surrounded Bani Israel, right? يقتل أبنائهم ويستحيي نساءهم. He would take their women, kill their their children, okay, and he would not accept that anybody take other than him as an ilah, right? You know, if you take anybody except me then as a god, I will crucify you. That's what he said to Musa, right? Um, and will you leave? What they said to Pharaoh, will you leave Musa and his people to corrupt the land and to leave you and your gods, right? So these kind of things. So it was this kind of control of religion, okay, and that's something we will come to. I don't think we'll have time to go to it today, but something that is mentioned in the famous verse about La ikraha fi din, there's no compulsion in religion. It mentions the Taghut there, okay. لا إكراه في الدين قد تبين الرشد من الغي فمن يؤمن بالله ويكفر بالطاغوت فقد استمسك بالعروة الوثقى. There's no compulsion in religion. Right way is clear from wrong action, wrong way. So whoever has faith in God and does kufr to the taghut, then he's hold on to the trusty handhold. Okay, why is that mentioned in that same verse about freedom of religion? We have this mention of the Taghut there and in the next verse. Because the Taghut does not allow you to have that freedom of religion. The Taghut does not give you that. Okay, it tries to really encompass with tyranny. Okay, so Fir'aun was certainly a Taghut that was worshipped by some. He spoke and he commanded and was obeyed. And some came to him for his hukum. They listened to him. And they didn't follow the best of what was said. What he commanded, they obeyed. Okay, so in that way, and sometimes what he commanded, they were almost forced to obey. They had to because he was that kind of an oppressor. So he was oppressing them that kind of way. They were almost forced to. But in general, we're talking about the ibada to the Taghut. And the same thing happened in the Prophet's time. Okay. So some of those around him, okay, they did the same with the Taghut, which were there and around there. And these people thought they were Muslim. So we have this verse, أَلَمْ تَرَ إِلَى الَّذِينَ يَزْعُمُونَ أَنَّهُمْ آمَنُوا بِمَا أُنزِلَ إِلَيْكَ وَمَا أُنزِلَ مِنْ قَبْلِكَ. Have you not seen those who claim or who think or they claim to have believed, have faith in what was revealed to you, O Muhammad, and what was revealed before you? They wish to refer legislation to the Taghut. Okay, they wish to refer legislation, they wish to go to the Taghut to take the hukum, to take the يتحاكمون إلى الطاغوت, to take the judgment of the Taghut. While وقد أمروا أن يكفروا به, and they were told to reject it. ويريد الشيطان أن يضلهم ضلالا بعيدا, and Shaitan wants to misguide them in the worst way, in the furthest way. The furthest الضلال البعيد, like the furthest way you can be astray, is when you think the good is bad and the bad is good. Okay, so that's what Shaitan's aim was in getting them to go to the Taghut. Okay, but this has happened in the Prophet's time. It happens to some of the Muslims in the Prophet's time. Okay, they would go to the Taghut to seek judgment. Now, what is that? Don't forget this is Surah An-Nisa was revealed in Medina, right? So it's not going to be that some of the Muslims went from Medina to Mecca to seek their judgment. So first of all, this makes it very clear that Taghut are people. Okay, you don't go to an idol to seek judgment. Okay, and the people didn't used to go to idols and ask them for judgments, and they went to people. So that these are people. The Taghut are people. But the people here, the interesting thing is, it's not going to be the kuffar of Mecca. It's not going to be the kuffar of Mecca. So who is it going to be? Who else was close at hand in Medina that some of the Muslims used to go to them for judgment? And there could be other people who were sort of leaders among the Muslims, or there could be, for example, some of the Bani Israel who are there, because it's mentioned in the Qur'an that, why is it that some of you love them when they don't love you? Speaking of the Bani Israel, the Jews who were in Medina. So the Taghut here could be that, because some of them did use, you find like hints of this in some narrations, how some of the Sahaba used to go and seek the judgment of the Jews, the judgment of the Jews, because they would think, Muhammad, okay, this Arab guy, but these are the the Jews, Ben Israel, they have knowledge from way back, how many prophets have they had, and etc. So they want to go. And I think that's why also this verse says, they say, we have faith in, do you not see those who claim to have to believe in what was revealed to you and what was revealed before you? Why is that mentioned? And what was revealed before you? Well, that's an allusion to the thinking they have faith in what was revealed before, which is the Torah and the Injil. So the Jewish scripture at the time in Medina. So it seems that's what it means. But they were told to yakfuru biha, no, not to have faith in the Taghut, but being kufr towards it. And you see that judgment in, for example, the stoning to death, right? Stoning to death. Okay, where did that come from? That came from the Jews, the Taghut. Okay, yatahakamuna, they take legislation from the Taghut, and we inherited that in our Islam. Okay, so this is it seems very clear to me what this means. You can see the how it's affecting us even now, and we have quite a few legislations in our deen which are from the Bani Israel, from the Taghut. I mean, another example of that is it was a ruse. It was a ruse, but when Muawiyah went to Medina, and basically wanted to show that he cared about religion, right? So he started to ask why, to the people of Medina, where are your scholars? Where are your thing? Why is it that Why is it that your women are wearing wigs? Okay, why is it that your women are wearing wigs when the Bani Israel were only destroyed when their women started wearing wigs? Okay, and so we have this even in Islam now that wearing wigs is haram. Some people think that comes from the Jews, from people like this. Okay, like Muawiyah, who used to go for the judgment of the Jews. So this again tells us, that the Taghut are not inanimate objects. They are people like Fir'aun, who can be listened to and judgments taken from and followed. Okay, and in this, we are no different to those before us, okay? Because like I said, again, we have here, أَلَمْ تَرَ إِلَّا الَّذِينَ أُوتُوا نَصِيبًا مِنَ الْكِتَابِ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْجِبْتِ وَالطَّاغُوتِ. Okay, do you see that some of those people who are given the book, who are the people who are given some of the book? Okay, have you not seen those who are given a portion of the scripture? أُوتُوا نَصِيبًا مِنَ الْكِتَابِ. The Kitab, the Quran is also the Kitab. We mustn't forget that when you have phrases like this in the Quran, it could be referring to the Quran. It's not necessarily referring to the Jewish scriptures, so it's not necessarily referring to Bani Israel or the Christians. But nevertheless, the point is that here they also had faith in or believed in the Taghut. Okay, so they had their own Tawaghit, and we remember that again, that from Bani Israel are Abd al-Taghut, those who are in ibada to the Taghut. So this again could more strongly be associated with the Bani Israel, but we have them here. لم تر الذين أوتوا نصيبا من الكتاب. Have you not seen those who were given a portion of the scripture who believe in Egypt and the Taghut, and say about the disbelievers, those are better guided than. Okay, these are better guided than the believers in their way. Okay, I'm going to stop there because that's why I didn't put any more in this presentation. And secondly, I don't want to make it too long. I think it's already a very long presentation. Let me stop sharing that and have a look at the chat. So I'll continue about the Taghut next week, I think, because there's a lot more to talk about when it comes to that. But it's very important that everybody who can try and contemplate this idea of the Taghut in the Quran. Okay, it's something which, like we said, God mentioned about every messenger was sent saying, be in ibada to God and stay away from the Taghut. Okay, so we have, let me just have a look at some of what we have in the chat. We have Mesu, I think that's how you pronounce that, right? I think it's Turkish, right? Mesu Erso, right? What's his name? My understanding is very simple. Taghut is the rich elite that do not like God's commandments. Yeah, they could, but they don't necessarily have to be rich. I mean, there's no indication that the Taghut in the Quran that they are the rich people. But yeah, I mean, some of the rich people can definitely be among the Taghut. Let me see what else we have in the chat. All right, okay. We have backstage Aslam. Good to see you again. I'm going to bring you on. Let's remove this. Well, let me see. First of all, we have another question here. Didn't the Prophet stone the woman who committed zina? No, the Prophet did not stone the woman who committed zina. It was like, if it happened, then it's something that which the Jews did among themselves, and then it was later basically attributed to the Prophet. But no, Prophet did not have anybody stoned to death. Okay, and you can see that in some of the narrations. So we had in one of the narrations, you had the Jews come to the Prophet and say, "Oh Messenger of Allah, this woman did zina," and they come to him and they say, what should be done? And apparently the Prophet says she should be stoned. Okay. He says, "Why are you asking me when you have the hukum in your Torah?" And the hukum in your Torah is that it's stoning. It's stoning. So then they pretended it wasn't there, okay, because they didn't want to have this woman stoned. She was a noble woman or something. And so when they brought the Torah, they covered that verse, that part about stoning. And then eventually they were called out on it. So then they were put in that position that they had to stone. That's the narration. Even that narration, I don't accept it, but it gives you something about, you can connect the threads. You can see that the Jews were involved in it. The Jews were involved in that incident. It wasn't just the Prophet doing this. It was them. It was their thing. Because don't forget that the Prophet was the leader of Medina at the time. So later on, things that were done would get attributed to him. They would get attributed to him later. Okay, let me add you, Aslam. Let's see. Okay, well, hold on. Sorry. Yes, I'll look into this. Sorry about, because I didn't have time to read that. I'll read it again now, maybe at the end of this. Translate Surah Al-Alaq, 67 word by word. Okay, we'll look at that in a minute. Let me just bring on the guest first. Is the Hadith false? Yes, I think the Hadith is false. The Prophet did not have anybody stoned. Oh, it's very muddled. It's very muddled. We have the Qur'an brought the judgment for that, and to think that the Prophet would have went out having people stoned to death before that judgment was brought. No. Even the Qur'an says that whenever they come to you, we bring for you the verse. We bring, and how many verses are like that, right? يسألونك عن, they ask you about this, say this. They ask you about that, say this, right? So the Qur'an is going to wait till the Prophet has 2 or 3 women stoned to death before bringing the verse, which shows that no, it's about the punishment that God brought down was lashing to zina. Okay. All right. Assalamu alaikum, Aslam. Let's bring you on.
Yeah, walaikum assalam. Yeah, is my voice audible?
Yes, audible. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much. Hope you're doing well.
Yes, thank you.
So basically, I wanted to discuss, as you have presented in a number of times about the term kufr or allazina, the kafaru, that thing. What I have observed, is it to do with more of a human behavioral propensity or behavioral tendency, like someone who doesn't fulfill their promises, who spread fake news, who do gossip, who backbite, who is untrustworthy, and like this? Is it that kind of thing to do with kafaru? Because generally people put it into a people of other faith, following some other religious tradition, they attribute that suffering to them. But what I have understood, like with your research and with Dr. Farhan Maliki's presentation, that it's more to do with a human's behavioral aspect. Because what I feel is that these are negative things. When a human soul was bought, it had the fujur wa taqwa.
Yeah.
So that fujur aspect is coming out, and that is more to do with the kafaru instead of a person's religious affinity. What do you think about this?
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. So, kufr is more about action. It's much more about action. It's not about, what you actually believe, what you don't believe. I believe this or I don't believe that. That's not it. And often in the Quran, it's juxtaposed with shukr, right? Shukr, right? So,
All right.
هديناه سبيلا إما شاكرا وإما كفورا, right? We guided the human being, whether he be shakir or kafur, إما شاكر or إما كفورا, all right? And there are many verses like this where it's thing, okay? ليبلوني أشكر أم أكفر. This is from the trial of my Lord, so you can test me to see if I'll have shukr or will have or will I be in kufr. Okay,
Mhm.
so kufr is action, just like shukr is action, just like shukr
Mhm.
is action. All right,
Yeah.
inna hadaynahu we guided him to the two ways, either shakir or kafir, right? Shakir or
Mhm.
kafir, going along the
Correct.
path of shukr or along the path of kufr. All right,
Mhm.
acting
Yeah.
it out, right?
Correct.
So yeah, definitely kufr is more about action. It's not about
Yeah.
what you believe or what you don't believe. And there's no such thing as some, one of the things that people bring up is that somebody can be doing good deeds, and then through kufr, it wipes out their all of their deeds go. No, it's about that the bad deeds will wipe out good deeds, just like
Correct.
good
Correct.
deeds will wipe out bad deeds.
Correct. Because if we read the second chapter of the Quran, it mentions that Alif Lam Mim Zalikal Kitab La Raiba Fi Hudal Lil Muttaqin. Means they will have
Yeah,
that kind of inner, like they will avoid gossip, they will not backbite, they will not be untrustworthy, they will not spread fake news, they will not do ill to others, they will be charitable.
mm.
This is the inner taqwa that should be established
Sorry,
in
you
the
cut off
human
sometimes.
being.
Your voice is sometimes clear, and then
Right.
you cut off. You cut off again there. So could you repeat that?
Is yeah, sure. Is it clear now?
Now it's clear. Yes.
All right. So what I was saying is that once we observe the second chapter of the Quran, Alif Lam Mim Zalikal Kitab La Raiba Fi Hudal Lil Muttaqin. So it mentions
Yeah.
that even before the Prophet is like addressing, it mentions directly that this is the guidance for these kind of human beings who are sincere,
Yeah.
who do not who are not like who are not dishonest, who are trustworthy, who will not gossip, who will not spread fake news, who will not use abusive language, will control this kind of inner taqwa it has. So I feel it has more to do with human beings actual, like their I mean what their behavioral tendencies, I feel. So that's why I
Yeah.
come to the conclusion that this kufr is like you cannot attach someone saying, oh, you don't believe in like Jesus coming again, you have the kufr, or these all things. It has more to do with his behavioral day-to-day life.
Yeah. I mean, your voice was going low at the end there, but yeah, no, definitely. So taqwa again. Taqwa is also about action. The whole of the whole of these things are about action. I mean, when it comes to actual believing something is true or not true, that doesn't really help much, right? You believe something is true or believe something is not true. What does that do? What does that do? You know, it doesn't do anything unless you act in accordance. You know, so it's all about the actions. Even and taqwa, the basis of taqwa is to not harm or aggress against anybody. Okay, it's the opposite of udwan. Opposite of udwan, right? If you're a person of udwan, you can't be a person of taqwa. If you have udwan,
But
then you don't have taqwa.
correct. This belief can help you add into that inner strength. Like let's say like people who follow Freud, you know, aware about
Sorry, we can't hear you very well again. I I think you keep on moving. Maybe you've got like a wire on, and when you move it a certain way, and we can't hear you.
Are you able to hear now?
No, it's very low. The sound is very, very low.
How is it now?
No, still
Okay, one more. Now, how is it?
getting better, but still no.
One more. How is it now?
A bit better, yes.
All right. So what I was saying that this belief can add strength to that inner dimension. Like someone who follows Freud, like Sigmund Freud, who may not necessarily believe in the life after, right? But then
Sorry. We just can't hear you properly anymore again. So your voice just trails off down. Now we can barely hear you.
is it was it now better?
No, still. Yeah, I can hear you, but it's very low.
How is it
We
now?
got as far as hearing you say something about Freud.
Yeah, I was saying that
Okay.
people.
Yeah, now it's very clear.
All right. So I was saying is that people who do follow the like these modern, postmodern philosophers and these things, but if they do not have a good belief in, let's say, year after, like that consciousness that whatever ethics they do, that they are going to be accountable, this won't be there. So I think the belief can strengthen that inner taqwa. It can strengthen that. This I can conclude.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we did one stream, right, where I was talking about, why Iman, because people I've mentioned many times that both Jannah and Jahannam, they are earned by actions. So why should we have Iman? Why should we have Iman? Well, in this world, without Iman, it's very difficult to act in guidance, right? So that's why the Quran says, الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا يَهْدِيهِمْ رَبُّهُم بِإِيمَانِهِمْ. God guides them through their faith. Right? Faith, Iman, rather than belief, it's more about trust. Okay, having some trust in God, some trust in what He has said, some trust in that the good is good and it's worth pursuing, that kind of thing. Right? Having that kind of faith, that kind of faith, in the end, of the right thing to do. That the right thing to do is worthy to do it. That you should do it. Right? That takes faith. Right? And in a world where things can a dog eat dog world where anybody can do anything that they want, right? It's very difficult to stay um, sort of behaving in the right way if you don't have some sort of faith that ultimately, the good will triumph. Ultimately, the good will triumph.
Correct, correct.
Right? So it helps a lot having faith in the future, faith in humanity, faith that things will end up okay. All of these help. If you are completely nihilistic, all right. I mean, just look at all of these sort of these futuristic movies, right? They all became dystopic, right? When you have a lot of these movies now about the distant future, because like the concept now is there's no God and it's all atheist. The world is there's no God, no afterlife, nothing. Okay, so a lot of these the movies and shows that you find which are people think up about what will be in like 200 years, 300 years, 400 years. It's very dystopic, where people are not really living for anything. It's a very, very dark future. Okay, because there's no faith. There's no faith to keep you. I mean, you can if you've been stolen from again and again and again and again and again, right? That keeps on happening to you, or a lot of bad things. People are doing a lot of bad things towards you. Okay, the thing that will keep you, not becoming like that yourself is faith. You need to have some sort of iman that no, that there is a good there is a goodness to goodness in itself, and it will triumph in the end.
Thank you so much for.
No problem. I think did you say thank you? Because your sound has gone low again.
Yeah. So like,
I can't hear you very well.
are you able to hear now?
No, very low again. Your voice is very low.
Is it better now?
A little bit better.
Okay. So in the previous stream, you discussed in reference to that incident about Prophet Moses and that calf, golden calf, correct?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's
So
right.
in Surah, yeah, in Surah Taha, it does mention that they were saying that we will not cease to. I mean, I have the English translation. It mentions that we
Yeah,
will not cease to worship that. I mean, there is a conversation. They were saying we will not cease to worship that, and then Prophet Moses is fighting with their brothers that
yeah,
these people got distracted. So I mean, so it mentions that they were like kind of a worshipping. I mean, instead of God, that Samiri. I mean, it mentions that Samiri distracted them from the righteous path. So I wanted to
yeah.
understand, like, is this translation? I mean, it mentions that they were worshipping or something like that. It mentions.
Yeah, that's just translation. That's the issue of translation. In Arabic, it doesn't say that they were in ibada, right? And that's what I mentioned. That sometimes anybody can contemplate the Quran, but when you want to get into some intricacies like this, okay, you have to sort of like at least have an eye for the Arabic. Okay, so if you look at the Arabic of that verse, you won't see the ibada, ain ba dal. You won't see that. Okay, it's not saying that. It says قالوا لن نبرح عليه عاكفين عاكفين, not عابدين. It says
Okay, okay.
عاكفين حتى يرجع إلينا موسى. Okay, until
Uh,
Musa comes back. Okay,
mhm.
we're not going to stop being عاكفين to it. Okay, until Musa comes back. Not ibadah, not
Correct.
ibadah.
That's it. Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
All right.
Um,
Hmm.
and that's what was mentioned earlier in that. Not I don't know if it's in the same surah, but is it in the same surah where when Ben Israel when they cross the when they cross the sea and they see some people
Correct. Correct. I think
with
this happened.
idols.
Yeah, because I think many people got along with that Israeli community. They were not trained. I mean, like how Prophet trained the Sahabas, but then
Mhm.
they other people joined. They were saying that we were Muslim, then faith has not entered. Similar thing happened to these people also. Like those people, they came along with that
When
children of Israel. They were not trained. I think many of them.
when they left, they were basically Ben Israel while they were in Egypt. They were basically idolaters. Okay, they had lost. Um, they had lost the tawheed. They had lost the belief in one God. They'd lost knowledge of God while they were in basically slaves in Egypt. Okay, don't forget they were all the descendants of Ibrahim, and
Mhm.
Ishaq, Yaqub, and his thing, and then there was Yusuf, right? Um, but by the time Musa was there, they'd lost all of that. So they didn't have an idea of God really, of the oneness of God, of servitude to Him. They had so they made up an idol. So that when they crossed
I think
the sea.
it mentioned that Samiri took some sands. I think he saw some kind of a thing, and it mentions that his inner self told him to do something like that. It mentions
Yeah,
that.
yeah. كذلك سولت لي نفسي. Right. So this is what I decided to do. Yeah. But in the end, what happened is قالوا هذا إلهكم وإله موسى فنسي. Right. So however that the Samiri made the golden calf, but it wasn't just him. It was him and others who said this is your ilah and the ilah of Musa, but he forgot.
All right.
Right? They'd
Mhm.
actually requested to have this kind of ilah earlier. Like I said, when they crossed the sea and they saw a bunch of people with idols. What's the verse? وَجَاوَزْنَا بِبَنِي إِسْرَائِيلَ الْبَحْرَ, and we caused Bani Israel to cross the ocean. فَأَتَوْا عَلَى قَوْمٍ يَعْكُفُونَ عَلَى أَصْنَامٍ لَهُم. It's the same word, right? They came upon a people يَعْكُفُونَ upon some idols for them. They said, "O Musa, make for us a god like they have gods." Right? So later on, they made one for themselves. With the golden
Mhm.
calf, they made this ilah, and they were akifina to it. Okay, the Quran describes it as akifin, not ibadah.
Or Akifin. Okay. Akifin is the word, correct?
Yeah, it's the word that's used in both those verses.
All right, all right. And one last thing, I mean, it may sound a bit controversial. This term, like kuntum khairun ummatin, like this thing,
Yeah.
one scholar here was mentioning that it is related to more of the prophet's companion, or is it genuine? Because why I say is that for some reason I am not sure. Maybe be disrespectful, but I am not able to connect with Hazrat Umar much because whatever it is
Mm.
written, I am able to connect. I am more able to connect with Imam Ali, not on a sectarian
Mm.
line, but spiritual depth and that understanding of divine truths and these things. So, I mean,
Mm.
is it restricted to like the Prophet's companion? And what are your views about Hazrat Umar's lifestyle written in the books? I mean, I am unable to connect with for some reason.
Yeah. No, I mean that verse kuntum khayra ummatin ukhrijat linnas, it tells you what it describes, right? It tells you what does it say? Kuntum khayra ummatin ukhrijat linnas, and then it describes how they are, right? تأمرون بالمعروف, right?
They are
وتنهون عن المنكر, right?
it is
They have to be like
Sahaba.
that. That's the khair ummah. Okay, it's this that's being described in that verse, and it's not them; it's some of them, the Sahaba. And that's mentioned in another verse. فَلْتَكُنْ مِنْكُمْ أُمَّةٍ. Let there be from among you, O Sahaba, or the people around the Prophet. Let there be among you an ummah. فَلْتَكُنْ مِنْكُمْ أُمَّةٍ, and then it describes them. It's the same thing, right? So it says, that verse says, كُنْتُمْ خَيْرَ أُمَّةٍ أُخْرَجَتْ لِلنَّاسِ. You are the best ummah. It's referring to that ummah that was mentioned before. Okay, that ummah among the Sahaba. So it's not all of the Sahaba. كنتم خير
All right.
أمة أخرجت للناس تأمرون بالمعروف وتنهون عن المنكر وتؤمنون بالله ولو آمن أهل الكتاب لكان خيرا لهم. And if the people of the book had Iman, would have been better for them. Okay, so it's talking about that. وَلْتَكُنْ, and we got that verse. وَلْتَكُنْ. Yeah, so the verse is in Ali Imran, which connects that verse to that verse, the one you're talking about. Look at in Surah Ali Imran, verse 104, it says, وَلْتَكُنْ مِنْكُمْ أُمَّةٌ يَدْعُونَ إِلَى الْخَيْرِ وَيَأْمُرُونَ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ وَيَنْهَوْنَ عَنِ الْمُنكَرِ. The same thing, okay? Let there be from among you, an ummah which calls to goodness and يدعون إلى الخير, calls to goodness, and يأمرون بالمعروف, and commands ma'ruf, and prohibits or dissuades from munkar. وأولئك هم المفلحون, and those are the muflihun. Okay, so it's talking about an ummah from among them, not the whole of the Sahaba. Among the Sahaba, there was, the Quran says among them were khabith and tayyib, khabith and tayyib. There were some who were good and some who were khabith. Right? They weren't thing. Um, so no, Umar has some good qualities. He was strong, and he was a very forceful individual and stuff. But in many ways, he wasn't among the most knowledgeable of people. All right, he had more. He just used to scare. He used to scare people, right? He used to scare people. How many times he'd go and, oh, Messenger of Allah, let me kill him, let me kill him, let me kill him, right? He wasn't a person of real deep understanding of the Deen. All right, and don't forget also that he never used to spend that much time with the Prophet. Okay, he never used to spend that much time with the Prophet. He used to come to the Friday khutbahs once every 2 weeks. The one who used to live with. 1 week Umar would go, and when he came back, he would tell him what the Prophet said, and the next week his roommate would go, and he'd come back and tell Umar what the Prophet said. Okay, and so but he certainly wasn't among the worst of the Sahaba. But nor does he have this very high. Um, I certainly don't have this very high opinion of him as in Sunni Islam generally. You know,
Correct,
there were many others who were better than him.
because
I've
when we
seen.
compare with Imam Ali, it goes into that sectarian division. So
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
Imam Ali's depth of understanding of the fahem, what we call the fahem and the hikmah, that Quran verse is there. Whoever we bestows wisdom, he has given
yeah,
more good.
So I think that element was I can able to whatever written in the books I can able to relate with Imam Ali more.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, the same. Once I started to sort of like read some of the heritage of Ali, it's completely different. Completely different from what you get from the others, right? Umar, one of the things Umar did was, he's the one who started the um, giving each person a different amount of wealth stipulants, right? So they had like sort of like a welfare state, and he started giving, okay, the people of Quraysh get this much, the people of Ansar get this much, this tribe gets this much, so he had different, right? Abu Bakr had everybody was given the same amount, so was Ali. But Umar and Uthman, they would give different people according to their tribes different amounts, and he would
Yeah,
go around walking with his whip, beating people, and then
correct.
people, some people now they admire that, but did the Prophet have a whip? He used to go around hitting people with it?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, it's not that
Uh,
we are being disrespectful. It's just that we're being objective, and these are that findings like that
yeah,
whom we can connect with like more.
yeah, yeah, yeah. All right. Okay. Look, I've got.
Thank you so
Uh,
much for the insights.
sorry.
I was saying, I thank you so much for the insights and
All
about
right.
those processes. I'm really sorry
Yeah.
for the
No
net
problem.
connection.
No, it's fine. No problem. Don't worry. I don't think your connection is bad. I think it's when you're using headphones, right? So I think when you take your headphones off, we can hear you clearly. When you put them
Very
on, your headphones aren't so good. The wiring is not so good on them. Um,
good.
all right. All right.
My
Thank you
dear.
a lot.
Thank you. Yeah,
Jazakallah.
yeah.
Yes. Hopefully see you again. Okay.
Inshallah. Thank you. Take care.
Mm. Alaikum assalam. Okay, we've got Iman backstage. Let's bring him on. Let me just first of all check um, the chat. Yeah, so I think this was concerning kufr, right? In the sense of covering the only truth, which is God. Okay, muttaqeen, those who are mindful of God. Yes. So the idea of taqwa as foundational, the foundation of it being um, um, not to harm or aggress against anybody. That's something which Hassan and Malik has shown a lot. But he's also said it in separate recordings. I don't think I've got any video of him translated where he says this, but it's true. I mean, I said the same thing. Um, when I met him, I was speaking to him about that, and that taqwa, taqwa is in the heart, right? Taqwa hahuna, right? Taqwa is in the heart. ومن يعظم شعائر الله فإنها من تقوى القلوب. And whoever extols the symbols of God, it's from the taqwa of the heart. So taqwa is in the heart. Okay, but outwardly, how does it manifest? Outwardly, it manifests in ihsan with taqwa a lot. Okay, but taqwa is that mindfulness in God, which if you have it at the minimum, it will stop you from aggressing or transgressing or harming anybody. And in its highest form, it prompts you towards ihsan, towards ihsan. We have here, what is shakara then? Yeah, shukr is not gratitude. It's to use what God has given you um, in the way it should be used. That's why we have, for example, many verses which say, He's the one who made for you your hearing, your sight, and your heart. قَلِيلًا مَا تَشْكُرُونَ. How little you are thankful. God is not asking you to sit there and say, "Oh Allah, thank you for my eyes, thank you for my hearing, thank you for my heart." Just saying thank you by them. No, you have to use them. Okay, use them how they were supposed to be used. When God says "قَلِيلًا مَا تَشْكُرُونَ," saying how little you use them in the right way. Okay, that's real shukr. I equate it. I always give the analogy of when you lend somebody a book. All right, if you lend somebody a book and the person takes this book. When you visit him next time, okay, you ask, has he read that book? He says no. All right, he hasn't read it. Okay, the gratitude that you show to somebody who gives you a book, okay, is you read it. Okay, because the book is meant to be read. That's why he's giving it to you. If you are using it as a door stomp or using it to prop up your bed or something, that's not gratitude. Okay, and the person comes to your home and sees you using the book he gave you in that kind of way, it would seem very ungrateful, incredibly ungrateful, right? But if you were to go to him yourself and say, I read your book and I like this part, I didn't like this part, and you start talking about it, he'll feel that you've shown gratitude, okay, because you've used it as it was meant to be used. So gratitude is about that, And the main verse which talks about that is in the Quran. It says, "I'malu ala Dawood shukra." Do actions, or people of Dawood, of actions. Also, he said that deeds aren't erased by bad deeds, disbelief. What would be your take? Then that's where it says that deeds will be nullified. No, I'm saying that to understand what kufr is, okay, kufr nullifies good deeds because kufr itself is action. Okay, it's a type of action that you do, so it will nullify. No, so bad deeds will nullify good deeds, and good deeds will also wipe away bad deeds. In al-hasanat yuthibna sayyat. Hasanat take away the sayyat. Okay, and also doing some actions, especially actions of kufr, they can take away your deeds, void them. Okay, لِنْ أَشْرَكْتَ لَيَحْبَطَنَّ عَمَلُكَ. Right. If you commit shirk, this though is specific to the Prophet. وَلَقَدْ أَوْحَيْنَا إِلَيْكَ وَلِلَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِكَ لِنْ أَشْرَكْتَ لَيَحْبَطَنَّ عَمَلُكَ. Right, this was said to the Prophet and to those before him, that if you committed shirk, everything you did would be gone. Yeah, sorry, I don't know if maybe I wasn't clear when I said that. Your thoughts on believing in goodness remind me of 92:6. I'm not sure which verse that is. Yeah, no. Yeah, they didn't get the ruling of that from the Quran. Don't forget, look, in Medina, there were 3 Jewish tribes who were living there. Okay? And part of the constitution of Medina was for them their religion, for the Muslims theirs. Okay? That included their own judgments for their own, things. The Prophet led the Jews to deal with their own things. And then, their stoning to death and stuff like that came to be attributed to the Prophet because they would come to him. Yeah, so they got the hadith, the ruling from hadith. All right, okay. I'll skip. There looks like there's a lot in the chat. Some healthy discussion going on there. Yeah, the monkey man. If you check my channel, there's a long video essay where Islam versus inherited Islam, where we look at ibada, taqwa, and shukr. Okay, it's a long video, but it goes more deeply into that, and it's scripted and more prepared than I'm able to sort of say off the top of my head now when it's so late as well for me over here. All right, okay, I'm going to bring on Iron Man. Assalamu alaikum, Iron Man. Your voice is very low.
Okay, let me just see if I can fix that.
I can't hear you. Still very low.
Okay, how about now?
That's better, yeah.
All right.
How have you been?
Alhamdulillah, I've been good.
Excellent. How's progress on that app and stuff going on?
Progress, Alhamdulillah, yeah, I've done really well. Took it to the next level, which I'd like to demonstrate.
All right, let's get the next level demonstrated here.
Okay.
But it doesn't matter. Just go ahead and put the recording. If there's a recording, I haven't even checked what's happening with my channel status from the last copy strike. But it's fine.
Okay, can you guys see my desktop?
Yeah. Let me change my thing so that we see mostly you. Yeah, it's not that one. Definitely not that one. Okay, I guess this is the best we can have.
Okay. Right, as some of you probably know, I've been writing a program for the Quran, and it's able to do quite a few things. Right, let me show you. Right, this Quran program, it actually resides on, well, it's on my desktop. So all the ayahs, all the translation, all the information is going to be on the desktop, which is completely different to any other program you will find anywhere on the planet. Right, so here we go. Yeah, here I've got a little button, yeah, which hides and shows the Qur'anic ayahs or the Quran on my desktop. Right, the latest thing I've done, right, is I've made these controls over here, yeah, which control obviously the playback of the Quran. So let's click on this play button. So now I'm going to demonstrate here playing a surah. I'll just type in 112, press enter.
Say, He is Allah, who is one. Allah, the eternal refuge. He neither begets nor is born, nor is there to him any equivalent.
Okay, right, that's one of the things you can do, yeah. Just by typing here any surah number, it will play back that surah. So if I type in 103, press enter.
By time, indeed, mankind is in loss, except for those who have believed and done righteous deeds, and advised each other to truth, and advised each other to patience.
Okay, right, another thing you could do is, yeah, you can search different topics in the Quran. For example, if I want to search for the word hadith, I just have to type it in over here, press enter.
Allah has sent down the best statement, a consistent book wherein is reiteration. The skins shiver therefrom of those who fear their Lord. Then their skins and their hearts relax at the remembrance of Allah. That is the guidance of Allah, by which He guides whom He wills. And one whom Allah leaves astray, for him there is no guide.
Okay, right, and as you can see in this box over here, I've got all the results. So when I typed in hadith over there, I get all my results of every ayah that contains the word hadith in the Quran. Yeah, so as you can see over here, so if I click on this one over here, chapter 4, verse 42, click on it.
That day, those who disbelieved and disobeyed the messenger will wish they could be covered by the earth, and they will not conceal from Allah a single statement.
Right, for example, this ayah has got the word hadith in it, in Arabic here. Yeah, so what I can do, yeah, is, well, I just hope it works. If I do a left click over here on the English text, it's going to open up that surah. Yeah, as you can see here, we've got surah 4. And what I can do now is 442. I can go down to 42 and then put over here in brackets the word hadith, then save it. And then if I go back to 442, just type it in, press enter.
That day, those who disbelieved and disobeyed the messenger will wish they could be covered by the earth, and they will not conceal from Allah a single statement.
So there you go.
Okay, so you can edit. Basically, you're saying you can edit your translations, right?
Yeah, you can edit the translation. In fact, me and I think this brother called Masood, so we were having a conversation about having a group of people who want to translate the Quran into its proper meaning. Yeah, for example, I mean, we've discussed the word salah, and like I said to you, the word salah is not a ritual prayer. Now, and there are many other words in the Quran which don't give us the correct meaning, the correct understanding. So yeah, I think it's a good idea that a group of us should get together and try to sort out, the correct translation of the Quran as best as we can do it. Yeah. So if anyone's up to that, yeah, they can get in contact with me and we can get this done. And on top of that, yeah, this program that I'm writing is also a useful tool, yeah, for those who want to study, understand, learn the Quran. Yeah, this program can recite the Quran in Arabic, in English. It can present the information in Arabic, in English, or any other language. What I need is I need other people who are really interested in doing something with the Quran and taking it to the next level. Yeah, I mean, I've come across a lot of people. Yeah, they might read the Quran, they might go and do this 5 times ritual prayer every day, but they're not really interested in understanding the Quran and taking the Quran to the next level. Yeah, like I'm doing. Yeah, I love the Quran. I'm so glad that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us a book, yeah, where we can read and understand why we are here, what we need to do, and where we are going, and also explain all things. I mean, Allah says that this book explains all things, and in my honest opinion, I think it does. Yeah, especially those things that we really, really need to know about. So, like I said to you, yeah, we can use this program as a tool to help us understand, learn the Quran, and obviously take the Quran to the next level.
Yeah, I mean, if you can get a way of people collaborating everything on sort of like one document online, then I mean that's what you mean, right? When you say you want people to sort of like collaborate with you on this, right? I think you're gonna have to make it so that you're all doing it online, sort of like on, I don't know, on a shared document where you can all edit it or something like this, right?
Well, you know what? There's quite a lot of work to be done. Yeah, I mean, for example, I mean, we've got audio. I've got audio, Arabic audio. I've got English audio, but I mean, there's like Sam Geran's audio as well. His translation of the Quran. And to be honest with you, I think he's done a really good job translating the Quran. I don't think his translation is going to be 100% correct. Yeah, because I mean, he's doing it by himself. He's had nobody else to help him. So,
Yeah.
he's done his best. And, I mean, I've been reading his translation of the Quran, and I do feel there are some words that I don't think he's translated correctly. Yeah, I've also sent
Yeah,
him.
I mean, I really admire Sam Gerrans for that. I mean, some people will scoff at what he did and stuff like that and what he believes, but just that fact that he put in that time to translate the Quran on himself. I mean, that's amazing. That is amazing. And he should be lauded for that. I think much more than he is. Anybody really who goes out their way to translate the Quran, whether it's by themselves or with others, it's an amazing thing to do.
That's right, and he sacrificed a lot.
Yeah,
I think he sacrificed his career to do this. So you know what, respect to him. Yeah, may Allah bless him with Jannah
yeah, I mean,
and give him a good life in this world and the next.
Yeah.
So if there's
Very good.
any
So
sorry.
how close are you to sort of putting it together in a way where other people will be able to sort of download it and use it?
Well, you know what, at the moment they've got to be slightly techie. Yeah, because there's quite a few programs I've written and they all interact with each other. And there are other programs. For example, this program that I'm using that displays the Arabic and the English and all these little widgets over here. Yeah, this program is called Rainmeter. It's absolutely free, and it allows people to make widgets for themselves. So what I've decided to do is make all these little widgets, to do with the Quran, because no one's done that. And I've wanted this myself for many, many years. And alhamdulillah, I've had the time now, a bit of time to actually go and do it. And I've been doing this now for, I think, about 4 months now, working on this, taking it to the next level. I mean, I've also done this as well. For example, if I click on this A button over here, I get surah list. So I've got the whole Quran over here. So I can click on any surah, for example, Surah 1.
In the name of Allah, the entirely merciful, the especially merciful. All praise is due to Allah, Lord of the world, the entirely merciful, the especially merciful, sovereign of the day of recompense. It is you we worship, and you we ask for help. Guide us to the straight path, the path of those upon whom you have bestowed favor, not of those who have evoked your anger or of those who are astray.
Okay, there you go. So here I've got different pages, with all the surahs on them. So go to any one of these pages and listen to that surah. Also, I can stop it. I can play it, obviously, with the play button. I can go to the next ayah. So, for example, if I'm on, say, chapter 2, verse 159. Oops, what's up here?
Indeed, those who conceal what we sent down of clear proofs and guidance after we made it clear for the people in the scripture, those are cursed by Allah and cursed by those who curse.
So now I can go to the next ayah by clicking on this button.
Except for those who repent and correct themselves and make evident what they concealed. Those I will accept their repentance, and I am the accepting of repentance, the merciful.
And obviously I can go to the previous ayah, which I won't. And I can continue playback by pushing this button.
Indeed, those who disbelieve and die while they are disbelievers, upon them will be the curse of Allah and of the angels and the people all together, abiding eternally therein. The punishment will not be lightened for them, nor will they be reprieved. And your God is one God. There is no deity worthy of worship except Him, the entirely merciful, the especially merciful.
Okay, well, the stop button seems to have stopped working, but I will fix that. On top of that, it changes wallpaper as well. And if I program it, in fact, I just have to put in folders into the appropriate place. And for example, if I do a search for, if I type in hell and press enter.
But whoever kills a believer intentionally, his recompense is hell, wherein he will abide eternally. And Allah has become angry with him and has cursed him and has prepared for him a great punishment. And those who do not invoke with Allah another deity, or kill the soul which Allah has forbidden to be killed, except by right, and do not commit unlawful sexual intercourse, whoever should do that will meet a penalty.
So as you can see, when I
The
type
background changes with the
background
verse.
changes, to let's say dark pictures, and the same thing applies for other topics that you can type in, So it does all that as well, and
MashaAllah.
that's the latest, Oh yeah, and I forgot to tell you, if I click the middle mouse button on this ayah over here, it will copy the ayah into the clipboard. And if I go to a new document and do right-click paste, there you go.
All right, okay. Making it easy to share.
Yeah. So you can share it with social media or put it into a document or do whatever you like.
All right.
And on top of that, if you click on the Arabic ayah, it will take you to a web page where you can go a little bit deeper. For example, there you go, it's going into Islam Awakened. And I can have a look at the full surah there. And maybe go elsewhere, have a look at all different translations. In fact, I can just take it over here. So you can have a look at all the other translations that are available. And on this website, you've got like 30 plus. Yeah, so by clicking on the Arabic ayah, it could take you over here or anywhere you want, because there's a file, which is an ini file that you can edit. And you can just type in the URL of the website that you'd like it to go to. So it has that facility as well. And if I click this top button, this top writing over here, the chapter name, it will make that the favorite ayah. So the next time you run this program or restart your PC, it will show this particular ayah, 2568, as your favorite ayah, or you could call it ayah of the week, or ayah of the day, or ayah to reflect upon.
Okay.
Yeah, it also does that, and I'm hoping there'll be a few more other nice features I'm going to add to it as well. Yeah, I mean, those people that come to this stream regularly are aware that all this is also voice controlled as well. So I can talk to my Apple device, get my Apple device to send a message to my PC, and then my PC will present that information. So I can say through my Apple device, tell me about Zulkarnain. And that message will get sent to my PC, and my PC will display that information on the desktop, just as you see it right now.
Yeah, we've seen that. Jazakallah. Brilliant. I'm glad to see. Yeah, I'm glad to see all that movement and improvement, and you're adding a lot of it, and you're still working on this. MashaAllah, it'll be really good once it comes out. I just like to see it. I mean, we saw it here first. It'll be really nice later if we see this on the Apple Store and see, starting hundreds.
It's not going to be on the Apple Store. Yeah, you can download this from certain links that I give you.
Okay.
Because it's not really an Apple app that I'm using. There is an app that I use, which is from the App Store. And that app, you have to put a program into it.
Okay.
Once that program goes into it, you can then communicate with your PC using another program, which is a server. So basically, you've got to install a server on your computer in order for you to do voice-controlled Qur'an, let's call it assistance. So your computer
it sounds like you said before. It says you have to be a bit techy to be able to use it right now. But hopefully in the future, I think you with other people, you might be able to get it sort of become more user friendly. Why didn't you try? Yeah, have you tried looking into different you've got these. I don't know if Reddit is a good place for this or not, but there are subreddits where you might maybe have some people who could collaborate on this kind of stuff. Very techy people, programmers. I know GitHub.
I'm antisocial. I'm really antisocial. Yeah, I don't. I do visit these places, but I don't really talk to anyone.
Yeah.
Apart from I do argue with the traditionalists now and then on certain videos on YouTube. You might see me there, but apart from that, I'm like antisocial, and the reason being is I don't have time. I've got too much to do. I mean, I have to do all this, these programs, in my spare time. I have to work as well.
Yeah,
I've got
of
so
course.
much to do that I haven't got time for people.
Yeah.
And there's so much for me to do. For example, I've got Sam Gerrans' English translation audio. I've also got his English translation in text form as well. So I can do all this using the text. Sam Gerrans' translation, his English text, and also his audio as well. But the thing is, I need somebody out there, to get those surahs, which are Sam Gerrans', his English translation, and split them up into ayahs. So there's
Yeah.
there's a lot of work there, and if no one's going to do it, you know what? I have to do that. So that's me becoming even more antisocial because no one else is going to do that. I have to do this as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a lot of things I have to do.
Can't that be done by a program as well? You can like create
Yeah,
a
you know
program
what?
that
I've
will
written a
split that.
program. I've actually written a program, which when I listen to Sam Gerrans' translation, every time he stops at the end of an ayah, I just have to press the space bar or any button on my keyboard, and this program, what it will do, it will split that at that particular place, and it will save that ayah as a file. But somebody needs to listen to it.
Yeah, make
Somebody
sure
needs
that
to
it's
listen
right.
to it and then stop it at the right place, so then my program can make a file. So if anyone's
Yeah, it's a
interested in
lot of
doing
work.
that, they can start
Yeah.
with, the last, let's say, the last 20 surahs, which I think I've already done anyway, because the last 20 surahs, they're all small anyway. So
Yeah.
I did that as a test. But
Okay.
there is Surah Baqarah, which is a very large surah, I'd like somebody to do. So there's
Okay.
all this work that needs to be done, and then you know what? We've got this Quran on the next level. We can have anyone's Arabic translation. Arabic recitation. Yeah, we can have anyone's English or French or Urdu or any other language translation in this program. All they need to do is put all these splits, all these ayahs, these MP3s, into one particular folder. And then you can listen to this in like Urdu translation or Bengali translation. So, and this is the next level.
Yeah, yeah. No, I see what you're saying, and I see, it is a lot of work, and if you can get somebody to help you with that, I'm not sure how you're going to find somebody to help you. So I mean, anybody listening now, of course, or later, please, if you feel you can help Iman here in any way, please do reach out to him and see if we can, as
Yeah,
you
I
say,
could
to
do with
bring
some
this
help
out.
as well,
Yeah, yeah,
So,
bring this to the next level. That
and I
would be
haven't
good.
told you, sorry for interrupting, I haven't told you, I'm also doing this on Android as well. So I can use like Google Assistant,
Okay.
to interact, with, the Quran really. I have done it. I did it several years ago, where I could just say to Google Assistant, recite chapter 45, verse 6 until 20, and it would do it. It'd give me a background, just like this. Yeah, there'll be a background picture,
Yeah, like
and
that.
then the ayahs will be presented just like this as well. But then Google
All right.
or Android, the operating system, I think they changed something, and then all that
Okay.
broke. And even yesterday, I started on it again. I got hold of an Android TV box, and I thought, you know what? Let me try doing all this on the Android TV box because they're very, very cheap.
Yeah.
And have like one box that you can interact with, which is always connected to your television. Yeah, which just presents the Quran to you. Anything you want to know about the Quran, you can just type it in, like over here. Yeah, for example, if I want to know about Jesus, I just type in Jesus over here.
Mentioned when the angel said, "O Mary, indeed Allah gives you good tidings of a word from him." whose name will be the Messiah, Jesus, the Son of Mary, distinguished in this world and the hereafter, and among those brought near to Allah.
As you go, and it's going to be a really good teaching aid for everybody.
Yeah, I can definitely see that.
Really easy.
Definitely see that.
I made it so easy that you just can't go wrong.
Yeah, brilliant. All right, nice. Thanks so much for the update, Iman. And like I said, we keep looking forward to how this progresses. You just keep us informed. It's nice to hear about this each time. All right, let me bring on. There's somebody else waiting. I'm going to bring him on.
Before you bring him on, I just want to say I've left my email in one of the comments. I don't know whether you saw it or not.
I saw it. Yeah, I think you left
So,
it.
so if anyone wants to get in contact with me, just send me an email, or you can go to my channel and just leave a comment on one video that I've uploaded. If you're interested, in helping me taking the Quran to the next level, as in technology-wise.
Yeah, please do. Anybody who is tech savvy and who can help Iron Man in any way, do go ahead. It's a good thing to collaborate, right?
I mean, you don't even have to be tech savvy. I can give you the programs that can help you. Do like certain repetitive tasks very, very easily.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. All that, like I said, I mean, just get in contact. He'll let you know how best you can help. I'll try and find that comment on my channel somewhere, because it was actually put it in response to somebody else to you give him the email. I'll see if I can find it, and I'll post it on this video as well, or you can post it at the end of this video as well in the comment section, and I'll pin it. Okay. All right. Okay. Thanks a lot. Jazakallah khair, Iron Man, and inshallah see you soon again. Okay.
Inshallah.
Okay. Assalamu alaikum. Okay, let me add Mezo. I think that's how you pronounce it. Assalamu alaikum.
Salamun alaikum. Can you hear me?
Yes, very well.
Okay.
That's a very nice. I like the way you said Salamun alaikum. It reminds me now of my Turkish friend in the
Yeah, I'm a Turkish guy, as the name suggests. I just would like to say a few words in support of Iron Man.
Yes.
This is coming from a Turkish guy that doesn't know Arabic. I've been trying to read the Quran and understand it for the last 8 years. And to me, that even of course, I know English. I've gone through English translations as well, but I still say, I can clearly say that the Quran is still not accessible, easily accessible for the people in the world. I mean, this is to me a huge problem. I'm seeing a lot of channels, discussing some terms. I watch the programs and so on and so forth. But to me, what the world needs is a really good, true to text, understandable, clear translation of Quran. I'm reading Sam Garrett's translation as well. It's pretty good, I have to say. But I still see a lot of problems in this translation, and I actually sent 26 presentations to Sam, just for your information, about the problems that I've seen in his translation.
Really nice.
I mean, this is basically, I'm fully in support of Iron Man. There's got to be a group of people getting together. To me, this is the responsibility of the Muslims, Quran Muslims, let me put it that way, Quran Muslims, to create an easy, accessible, understandable Quran translation. This is their duty that they should do. To me, this is their duty. But what I'm seeing, unfortunately, is just people individually are trying to, translate the Quran. To me, this is completely wrong. One man cannot do it. There has got to be a group of people, maybe 10, 15, 20 people, even the readers, just the readers. I mean, just reading what is coming out of this translation and telling the translator if it makes sense or not. That's really, really, I hope one day, I mean, on my part, I'm ready to do anything. I mean, I will send the file that I prepared to Iron Man. I mean, this file for me took me about 5 years to prepare. It's an Excel file but with this Excel file, I can surf through the Quran. I don't know Arabic, but I've written the Arabic in Latin, so I can understand what it says, or I can find the root meanings using the sites, from the internet. But what I'm trying to say, the bottom line is this: if you really would like to understand Quran, you have to spend years with the current translations. Years. To me, Quran alone Muslims have a duty to make it better. That's all I would like to say.
That's brilliant. Thank you.
I
Let me ask
hope
you,
one day, even it could be you, Iron Man. Okay, I'm seeing a lot of channels. I mean, there is kind of an awakening. That's what I could see, an awakening in trying to understand the Quran. I hope one day, at least 10, 15, 20 people, I'm ready to be a part of this and do whatever I can. But I'm hoping that one day Quran alone believers will come together and create a very accessible Quran translations. That's what the world needs. That's all I wanted to say.
That's brilliant. Thank you so much, Jazakallah khair. Let me ask you, and what about the Turkish do you read in Turkish?
Yeah.
How do
I
you
can
find the
give you.
Turkish
Sure. I can give you my short story. 8 years ago, I started reading all of the Turkish translations in here, more than 30, believe me. And I was fed up with all the Turkish translations because what I could see, it was a perplexing book, really perplexing. I mean, you start with Baqarah. I mean, people need to understand. Right now, it's easy for me because I've been dealing this with for 8 years now. But give a translation to somebody, a Japanese guy starting from Al-Baqarah. Okay. He's not going to understand anything. He will not. I mean, I've seen people trying to read the Quran after reading Baqarah and Ali Imran. They stopped because they said, we do not understand anything at all. Anything at all.
Don't get what's going on, huh?
Exactly. Yeah, we are perplexed. We do not understand this book. We do not understand. So one day, by chance, okay, I'm not claiming anything, but one day, by chance, I found a Turkish translation in the order of revelation, it said. Okay, I didn't know anything. I wasn't really a religious person. I know nothing about hadiths and so on and so forth. Okay, nothing. I took this translation and suddenly, for me at least, this is my experience. Okay, suddenly, when I tried to read it in the order of so-called revelation, I'm not claiming anything. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying this is the correct or not. But suddenly, I started to understand. I mean, this is coming from a Turkish guy, okay, that doesn't know Arabic. Then I switched to the English translations. I went over probably more than 10 English translations. But the Sam Garrett's translation seems to be the best that I've been able to find up to now. But again, I still a lot of problems with his translations as well. I mean, I can give you a very simple example. Okay. Look at all the translations in the world. You will never understand what muhkam means and mutashabihat means in the Quran. You will never understand it. Never. I guarantee you. Never understand it. In order to understand this one only, I worked about 6 months. And I believe I've come to a conclusion from my side. I also sent a presentation to Sam Garrett about this as well. Okay.
Did he reply?
Well, he said he was very busy. He was trying to get the latest translation out. But he saw some of my presentations, and he wrote back to me and said, I'll try to take a look when I have the time. But this is only one example. I mean, if somebody can explain to me what muhkam ayats and mutashabihat ayats in the Quran from today's translation, I'll be happy, because none of them was able to tell me what they are. I tried to understand it myself by working on it for 6 months. To me, this is not clear access to Quran. That's what I'm trying to say. This is not clear access. There are still a lot of problems in the current translations.
A lot of work to do.
A lot of work to do. Believe me, there are lots of terms like Taqwa, for example. Taqwa. For me, taqwa is very simple. To be mindful of God, and the verb form ittaqa, for example, ittaqa, to mind. Okay, for me it's very simple. I found this myself, but I'm looking at the translations. A lot of people just keeping it as taqwa, for example. For example, Sam Garens translated it as to be in prudent fear. Okay, what I do not understand. Okay, this book only tells something. Okay, one thing. Taqwa should mean one thing, right? I mean, this is plain, easy language understanding. But I do not see this in the translations. Okay, look at the translations. For taqwa, you will find 3, 4, 5 different translations. But taqwa is supposed to mean only one thing in Quran, right? It's one thing, one word. To me, this is a huge problem, believe me. Huge problem. I mean,
do you think? I've never heard if there is a translation in English which is in the claimed order of revelation. I've never seen that in English, but but there is. You said that there is one in Turkish like that, right? So I wonder
no.
if
What
no.
for?
Where
I
did
mean,
you
I
find
can
it?
show you my file if you have time. I can show you how I work.
You said that one day you read it. You found a translation which was in the order of revelation, and you read that, or
Yes,
did you
yes,
make it yourself?
that was in Turkish. Yes.
It was in Turkish. That's what I mean.
When
Yeah.
I say in order of revelation, that starts with Al Alaq, Kalem, Muzammil, Mudassir, Fatiha, Masat, Takwir, and it usually starts from the small surahs, right? Small.
I understand. Yeah. No, I was just wondering. I was wondering if in English there is one which is like that.
I
as well.
haven't seen one in English. Believe me, in the order of look. I'm not claiming anything. I'm not a hadith person. I believe only in Quran. So that was by chance that I saw a translation like this. When I started to reading it, I mean, it dawned on me that this book has a story, as a flow. Let me put it that way. Okay, for an outsider like me, but. When I say this to some of my friends, they say, "No, this is hadith. This is not acceptable. This is stupid. This is the correct order." Look, I'm just saying that we need to make sure that people understands this book, right? I mean, it's the same book, right? It's the same book. If I feel comfortable, reading it in the order of revelation, so called, so let me be. Okay. Well, what's the problem with this? What's the problem with this?
No,
I
it's
do
no
not
problem.
understand.
You can read the Quran from the back forward. So start from Surah
Exactly. It
An-Nas,
doesn't
go
matter. Yeah,
doesn't
exactly.
matter.
That's the same thing. Just open it up from one page and start and go to finish. It doesn't matter. But for a starter, I just would like to share my experience with you. As a starter, it was much, much more easier for me to understand the story, the flow of the Quran, if read in the order of so-called revelation. Okay, I wasn't there. I don't know if this is correct or not. It just made me feel comfortable trying to understand this book. I also would like to share this opinion of me because I see a lot of Quran alone believers a little bit nervous about this. Okay, no, they say no, this is not the correct order. No, this is coming from Hadith. I don't care if it's coming from Hadith or what. It's the same book. Okay, it's the same book. What I'm saying is this: when I read it in this order, I was able to get the grasp of what it's trying to say. So what's wrong with that? What's wrong with that? Now it doesn't matter for me. I can read it in the normal order, starting from Fatiha, Al-Baqarah, and so on and so forth. But coming up to that period, I mean, within the first 1 or 2 years, it was really, really, really a difficult and a perplexing book. Let me say this. I mean, Quran alone believers should also create a more accessible, understandable translations. I mean, we are not supposed to worship the book itself. We need to understand what the book says, what God says, right? And we have to act the way God wants us to. For me, that's what's important. That's what
definitely. Yeah.
the rest.
I've advised people as well that they could read the Quran in the supposed order of revelation. It can help. I've also told those who are willing also to you can read for those who know about the seerah literature or any biography, you could pick it up and read it at the same time. You start to see how different the history which is in the Quran is compared to the narrated seerah of the Prophet's life, and you start to see how different they are, because there is a lot of history there as well. But
and just the good thing for me is that I do not have any preconceived notions when I did not have anything at all when I started to read Quran. So I started with the Quran. So I only read Quran, nothing else, no hadith, whatever, nothing else. So to me, this is the best way to do it, because the other sources are the other sources are creating another religion. That's also what I can see. But like I said, I hope my last words will be in support of Iron Man. I hope one day, even you, Iron Man, other people in the other channels, Quran alone believers, will get together. I mean, I would try to do whatever I can with limited resources that I have to support you. I hope you can get together and create a true to text, word to word, nice, understandable, clear translation. That's what the world needs. I mean, this is coming from a Turkish guy. I hope everybody listening will take heed.
Inshallah. Hopefully we'll try to band together and make that happen. So again, another person, Iman, in support of you.
Thank you.
Hopefully we can see something come of this. Okay.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for
no problem. Anytime. Come anytime. Jazakallah.
Thank you. Take care. God bless. Bye-bye.
Assalamu alaikum. All right. We have one more person. I'll bring him on. Sam from the UK. Assalamu alaikum, Sam. How are you?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Walaikum salam. Yeah, I'm good. How are you doing?
Very good. How have you been?
Oh, good.
Long time no hear.
Yeah, been good. Good, thanks. Good.
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah, I was just watching your live streams in the background. It's been really good. Been interesting.
Yeah, thanks. It's good to hear your voice again. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so I wanted to, I had someone on your live stream said that they had a question about why God uses the "we" word in the Quran.
Yeah.
And I have a kind of a theory of suggestion, and the way I see God uses "we" because I think that like a human beings, we have a soul, and we kind of talk to ourselves, and we sort of like judge ourselves, and we sort of like kind of have a conversation with ourselves. Well, I do anyway. I'm not sure.
I do too.
If everyone else does the same, but I think
do that plenty.
So I think. So I think God has created us in his kind of image, and God is the same, where he has a conversation with himself, and he thinks about things, and so that's why I think he says "we," because there's kind of like him. Basically, it's kind of like it's in the Quran. I think he mentions it made self-reproaching. He made a soul self-reproaching. So in the same way, I think God is maybe the same.
Yeah, it's sort of like having infinite internal voices.
That was it, basically. Yeah.
All right, nice. Yeah, actually, what you said there is actually this is going back to my Ash'ari training, but that's actually Ash'ari. The main schools of theology, right, in the traditional Islam, right, the one which was the overwhelming majority for most of history are the Maturidi and Ash'ari, especially the Ash'ari. So most of the Malikis and the Shafi'is were Ash'ari Aqidah, and they have this idea of a kalam al-nafsi, the speech. God God's speech is eternal, and he's always speaking to himself. He's always speaking to himself. They have that concept, very similar to what you said, and that the Quran is part of that speech. So this went into the whole, which is more of a ridiculous debate. The whole debate of is the Quran created or not created. So the Ash'ari's got one of the ways they sort of attack that problem is by saying the Quran is part of God's constant eternal speech. وَكَلَامٌ اسْتَمَرَ. They have in one of the books they say about that God's kalam is he's always speaking to himself. Kalam al-nafsi. God, even when there was no creation, he was not silent, and he started to speak. He was always speaking, and he's mostly speaking to himself. So yeah, it's similar to sort of what you're saying. Very interesting. When did you what led you to think that, or was there a specific verse that brought you to that?
It was that verse. I think it said God has made the soul self-reproaching.
That one, okay.
I'm not sure which verse that was, but somewhere in the Quran.
Yeah, it's in Surah.
And so we judge ourselves, and so.
Yeah. It's in Surah Al-Qiyamah. وَلَا أُقْسِمُ بِالنَّفْسِ اللَّوَّامَةِ. And I do swear by the soul which is self-reproaching. It keeps on blaming itself. All right, brilliant. Thanks for sharing that. Thanks for coming on to share that. All right, I think we'll end it now.
You're welcome.
The stream has actually gone on for quite a long time, 1 hour and 51. So I think we'll start to end it there. Let me have a quick look at the chat if there's anything. This challenges the mainstream understanding of. Okay. Yeah, somebody was saying that. It's true. Well, we'll try. Yeah, it's not really about trying to challenge the mainstream. It's just trying to, my email is in search of the Qur'anic Islam. So that's what we're trying to get to. And a lot of questions. I don't want to really get into this. We have a few questions here about who was better, Omar or Ali, and these things. I mean, I don't want to get into definitely. I'm wary about making. I mean, I think it's very important to look into history, to read about history. For those of us who want, I mean, in the Quran itself, without any recourse to any history of any of the companions, what happened in the past, just by itself, you can take enough guidance for that. But definitely, you can have a position about, by critically looking at the history and the Prophet's biography and what happened after, while he was alive and, when he died and afterwards, you can start to know about how the Ummah became the way it was. Okay, and it has to do with the early people, the early companions and stuff. But I'm wary of making this channel go into that, deeply into that area where we start to talk about these sectarian issues between, Abu Bakr and Umar and Aisha and, what happened. Maybe one day we'll start to look into that in this channel, like try to get a community around the Prophet, and the companions, because the idea around one of the barriers, one of the locks to the Quran is this idea that guidance is found with the people at the time, that most of the people were rightly guided and they followed the Quran, and so their teachings were in line with the Quran, and that's not true. So I don't want to get into those sort of topics, but generally, yes, no. About that, if you just look into, if you read Imam Mali's heritage, it's very Quranic. It goes in a direction of the Quran, and it's very reflective of the Quran. So he had, he was one who was raised by the Prophet, right? Abu Bakr or Umar, the rest, they weren't raised by the Prophet. They weren't, they were old men, not old men, but older men when they first became Muslim. And we tend to think, sometimes we think that they just magically changed into these amazing people. No, it's very difficult to change character. Just becoming a Muslim doesn't completely change you that way. You have to actually work at it. Yeah. All right, okay. I don't think there's anything else I can see in the chat I want to get to. Look, Adriana's here. How are you? Assalamu alaikum. All right, okay. I think we'll end it there. Jazakumullah khair. Thank everybody for coming on. And as always, I need to keep reminding myself to say this at the beginning of streams, but remember, please, that what I'm sharing in these streams, what I'm trying to do is mostly promote contemplation of the Quran. I'm trying to get people to actually, sit down with the Quran and read it and try to, contemplate it for themselves. And what I share here is, some of my contemplation. Doesn't mean it's correct. It just means that's just something that I want to try to share as encouragement for others. I mean, what I shared today, I wish I'd had time to sort of like make it streamline it properly, and so I could present it in a think through what I'm going to say beforehand. But generally, I don't have the time. I just try to get things on to a presentation and show it as quickly as possible. Just a reminder that everybody should be doing their own contemplation, and a reminder that anybody else, please, if you have anything you want to share, like today we had just Sam come along and give us a bit of his thoughts on why the Quran uses the we, right? So anybody listening now or later, or if you know somebody else who has something to share from the contemplation, please do come on and share it with us. We'd love to hear it. Okay, so with that, I'll say Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and see you next week.